We can start reading. Yasmin will read today a new chapter, chapter 26, Samadhi.
Samadhi.
Yeah, Samadhi, that's right. Start.
Intimately connected with the aim of the yoga of knowledge, which must always be the growth, the ascent or the withdrawal into a higher or a divine consciousness, not now normal to us, is the importance attached to the phenomena of yogic trance to samadhi. It is supposed that there are states of being which can only be gained in trance. That especially is to be desired in which all action of awareness is abolished and there is no consciousness at all except the pure supramental immersion in immobile, timeless, and infinite being. By passing away in this trance, the soul departs into the silence of the highest nirvana without possibility of return into any illusory or inferior state of existence. Samadhi is not so all important in the yoga of devotion, but it still has its place there as the swoon of being into which the ecstasy of divine love casts the soul. To enter into it is the supreme step of the ladder of yoga practice in Raja Yoga and Hatha Yoga. What then is the nature of samadhi or the utility of its trance in an integral yoga? It is evident that where our objective includes the possession of the divine in life, a state of cessation of life cannot be the last consuming step or the highest desirable condition. Yoga trance cannot be an aim, as in so many yogic systems, but only a means, and a means not of escape from the waking existence, but to enlarge and raise the whole seeing, living, and active consciousness.
Yeah. Okay. So we have to very carefully read what he's saying. He has said right in the beginning, it is supposed. Okay, in the 1, 2, 3, fifth line, it is supposed. So all that he's saying after that is not his view at all. In fact, towards the end of the paragraph, he comes to his own view and he questions these assumptions. Okay, so now I'll read the sentence by sentence. For your information, all this entire passage I have not yet been able to make summaries. I'm still doing it, but this whole, whatever we are reading now, there are no summaries. They will come later on. Okay. I'm reading each sentence now. Intimately connected with the aim of the yoga of knowledge, which must always be the growth, the ascent of the or the withdrawal into a higher or a divine consciousness, not now novel to us, is the importance attached to the phenomenon of yogic trance, to samadhi. Okay, so let's look at what he's saying carefully. They're intimately connected with the aim of the yoga of knowledge. Okay? Yoga of knowledge, samadhi is a very, very important element there. Okay? The ascent or the withdrawal into a higher and divine consciousness. What is meant by that? The ascent into the higher consciousness is you are still in the physical world. Okay? You have not lost your touch with the physical world. But withdrawal means you are conscious in the spiritual planes of consciousness, but you are not interested or you have completely withdrawn. There is no consciousness of the awareness of the physical world. Your eyes are closed or even they may be open, but you are not at all conscious of what's happening in the physical world. That's withdrawal. Okay? We are withdrawing from something. What are you withdrawing from? Physical life. Okay? Whereas the ascent means you are fully aware in the physical world and you have gone to the spiritual world. Okay? So That's the difference between assent or withdrawal. Whenever Sri Aurobindo uses or, we have to examine carefully what he is meaning. Okay, then it becomes clear. So, this is the either a consciousness of the physical world in samadhi or a non-consciousness in the physical world in samadhi. Both are possible. Okay, so it is supposed. Now, that means he is going to tell you the normal ideas, but not his own. It is supposed that there are states of being which can only be gained in trance. Then it is supposed, it is said that the spiritual planes of consciousness you cannot get if you are aware of the physical world. Now, this is very interesting why it is like that. Okay, why do they say that? Now, I'll give you an image and just see whether it makes any sense to you. There are stars in the sky, but you don't see them in daytime. Why? Because the light is so bright that it hides the stars. Okay? Now that's exactly what is happening. There is all the spiritual planes of consciousness are there in you, but you don't see them because the waking consciousness, the physical consciousness is so dominating. I can't use the word lighted, dominating that the other things go into background. So that is what is being said here. See carefully. It is supposed that there are states of being which can only be gained in trance. So when the daylight, okay, the waking consciousness is put to sleep, then you can see the stars. Just like in the daylight, the stars are not seen. At night, when the daylight is made less or even disappears, then you see the stars. So exactly, if you want to, this is a normal idea, that if you want to go to the spiritual planes of consciousness, you have to put away the physical world and its awareness. That is what is said. That's why trance is very necessary, it is supposed, okay, in many systems. Okay, so, that especially, I'm reading the next phrase, that especially is to be desired in which all action of awareness is abolished and there is no consciousness at all except the pure supramental immersion in immobile, timeless and infinite being. So here the word supramental is definitely not absolutely supramental, but supramental with a hyphen in between. In other words, higher than the mind. That's what it means. Okay. Those who do a yogic practices, they are not going to the supramental world at all. They are going to the spiritual world, which is one step less. Okay. Obviously, therefore, it cannot mean supramental immersion. Supramental in the Aurobindonian sense. Okay. Or maybe I should say Sri Aurobindonian sense. Okay. Because even if sadhaks use the word Aurobindonian, but I won't do that. Okay. Clear? So, and note the words immobile, timeless, and infinite is very clearly the Brahmic consciousness. It is immobile, you are not in time, and you are also in infinite consciousness. So that is very clearly the Brahmic stage. Level 2, spiritual planes of consciousness. By passing away in this trance, still Sri Aurobindo is not talking about his own, he is talking about the supposition in the normal Indian idea of yoga. By passing away in this trance, the soul departs into the silence of the highest nirvana without possibility of return into any illusory or inferior state of existence. So normal idea is that if you die when you are in that higher nirvana consciousness, you will not have the possibility of coming back into the physical world. You are liberated forever. Sri Aurobindo will dispute this. Okay, he will not agree with this because we will discuss that also. So, illusory or inferior state. Some philosophies say illusory, some philosophies say it is not necessarily illusory, but it is certainly inferior. The illusoriness is attributed to Buddhism as well as Mayavada. The inferior state is what Shankara says. It is not illusion. It is a consciousness in time and space, but it is inferior. If you want the pure divine, you have to go to the higher levels of consciousness. You can't get it here. That's the Shankaran philosophy. Okay, so illusory or inferior. Clear? Samadhi is not so all important in the yoga of devotion. You don't need to, because you have a relation. And if you have a relation, you have to be conscious of the relation. And relation belongs to the physical world. So it is not necessary to have a samadhi. This is the idea. But it still has its place there. There means in the yoga of devotion, as a swoon of being, unconsciousness, swoon of being, into which the ecstasy of divine love casts the soul. So if you go to the absolute Ananda plane of consciousness, you can get into a trance. It happens. It can happen. To enter into it is the supreme step on the ladder of yogic practice in Raj Yoga and Hatha Yoga. In these two, entering into trance is the supreme step. It's the goal, because you get liberation. They stop there, they don't go beyond. Now Sri Aurobindo is questioning all these suppositions. What then is the nature of samadhi or the utility of its trance in an integral yoga? Can we take in the integral yoga, can we say that going to the spiritual level of consciousness in trance can be an aim? Then they say no, there can be even a greater aim. Okay. What then is the nature of samadhi or the utility of its trance in an integral yoga? It is evident that where our objective, where our aim includes the possession of the divine in life, okay, you have to stress in life, not outside life, but in life. A state of cessation of life cannot be the last consummating step or the highest desirable condition. So if you are, the integral yoga says the divine is here in the physical world. I will not reject it. So it's completely a contradiction of the Raj Yoga and the Hatha Yoga. There is a goal, but here it's only a means to go even higher up. Okay? Certainly you want samadhi, whether in trance or not, that's another matter. But you want samadhi, but that's not a goal. That is only a secondary step to go to even higher up. I'm reading that sentence again. It is evident that where our objective, our aim, our purpose includes the possession of the divine in life, not outside life, in the spiritual, in life, level 1, a state of cessation of life cannot be the last consummating step or the highest desirable condition. Again, I'm saying consummate. The English language is very, it's not consummate. Okay? To consume is to eat up, if you want. Eat in a figurative sense also, not only physical. But consummation, consummate is to successfully complete something. Okay? That's the difference between consume and consummate. Last consummating step or the highest desirable condition. Because some people may say it's only a condition and you can go even higher up. But it's a desirable condition. Yogic trance cannot be an aim as in so many yogic systems, but only a means. He's talking of the integral yoga. It cannot be an aim in the integral yoga, but only a means. And a means not of escape from the waking existence, but to enlarge and raise the whole being, living and active consciousness. So, whole seeing, sorry, I read wrong, and raise the whole seeing, living and active consciousness. This is the physical consciousness he's talking about. You are seeing, you are living, and you are active in the physical world. Because in the Level 2, there is no activity. So when he's talking of active consciousness, he is obviously meaning action in the physical world. So the whole phrase, seeing, living and active, belongs to the normal life in the physical world. So this disagrees with the idea, two ideas it disagrees with. One is that trance is absolutely essential. It is essential to lose the waking consciousness. Srila does not agree. It is possible to have a waking samadhi. That's number one. Number two, it is not necessary to lose the awareness in the physical world. Third thing that is really, it need not be the last goal. There can be something even greater than that. So these are the three things that he does not agree with. Okay? So now we can read the next one. Clear, no? In fact,
Can I ask a question?
yes, go ahead.
You know, mother used to go in a trance.
Yes.
And she used to say, oh, sorry, I'd gone to Brazil or something like that. Somebody needed me there. So what exactly, did she go into trance or samadhi or what did she actually do?
She used to, when she used to give blessings, okay, in the 1950s, she used to sit in the meditation hall where that photo, large photo is there, just in front of the staircase. She used to sit there. And it has happened many times. We have seen also that she is going into a trance. And she used to say, I am going into a trance because people are calling me. When people call, there has to be a response. So, but at that is only in the earlier days. Huh? Afterwards, it never happened. Okay, so you could say that mother was in the developing stage. You could say that. Well, she used to go off into trance to such an extent that her body used to stoop, you know, and sometimes even her mouth would open. And I'm telling you a very unpleasant thing, but just to make you understand that it's a awareness of the physical world goes away in trance. I'm just trying to tell you that. There is to be drooling, okay? There is to be a drooling also from the mouth, okay? So, in other words, absolutely no consciousness of the physical world at all. But later on, it never happened, okay? She is all the time in that higher consciousness, but she is dealing with everybody. That's waking samadhi. So this was in the 1950s, okay? Because mother from the beginning, from 1926 onwards, she was charged with running the ashram. So she has to be fully in the waking consciousness. If she is not in the waking consciousness, how is she going to run the press? How to run the press? How is she going to give advice in the building service? How can she advise those people receiving milk in the ashram? What to do? Clean the vessels, disinfect the cows' udders. Okay, all this she has to give detailed instructions. Okay, so naturally she has to remain absolutely awake in the physical consciousness. So that was the time when she is going to trance. And then awareness in the physical world was not there. Later on, it never happened. And even for Sri Aurobindo, let me explain to you. He said in one place to Motilal Roy. Motilal Roy was the one who became a disciple and he was in Chandranagar. And when Sri Aurobindo went to Chandranagar from Calcutta, he stayed with Motilal Roy. Okay? If any of you go to Calcutta, take the trouble of taking that train ride, 45-minute train ride to Chandranagar, okay, with someone who knows the place, and go and see the place where Sri Aurobindo was hiding, or rather he was kept, okay, for 1 month. He was kept there and nobody knew. Even Motilal Roy's wife also did not know that Sri Aurobindo is there in the house. It was so secretly kept. Okay. And from there, after 1 month, he came to Pondicherry. So why did I say that? Because he is writing to Motilal Roy that I was in Param Brahman consciousness for several hours. So that must surely have been in a trance condition. It is not mentioned in the letter whether it was trance or not, but he says that. So, for Sri Aurobindo, right from the beginning, because he silenced his mind and he is still continuing all his work. So it was a sort of waking samadhi right from the beginning for Sri Aurobindo. And Mother was used to this going into a trance condition because even with Theo, okay, she used to go up into the higher planes of consciousness. You remember the story. Theo wanted the secret of life, the formula, okay, so that he could become master. But Mother refused to give it to him. Okay. She had it. She rose to a level of consciousness where she had the secret, but she didn't give it to him. And he got so angry that he cut the silver cord. And because she is divine, she would come back into her body. Others would not have been able to come back to the body. Okay? So she was used to this trance business right from Algeria. Okay. Now we can read the next one. The importance of samadhi. So today, Kiran has not read for a long time. Kiran, if you have the text.
Yes, Rangada.
Yeah, you can read. The importance of samadhi.
Yes.
Read slowly, carefully.
Yes. The importance of samadhi rests upon the truth which modern knowledge is rediscovering, but which has never been lost in Indian philosophy. That only a small part, whether of world being or of our own being, comes into our ken or into our action. The rest is hidden behind in subliminal reaches of being, which descend into the profoundest depths of the subconscious and rise to highest peaks of superconscious, or which surround the little field of our waking self with a wide circumconscious existence, of which our mind and sense catch only a few indications. The old Indian philosophy, the old Indian
Ah,
sorry, the old Indian psychology expressed this fact by dividing consciousness into three provinces: waking state, dream state, sleep state, Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti. And it supposed in the human being a waking self, a dream self, a sleep self with the supreme or absolute self of being, the fourth or Turiya, beyond of which all these are derivations for the enjoyment of relative experience in the world.
because he has spoken about samadhi, he has spoken about the planes of consciousness here. This is one division that you can make. There are many other divisions that you can make. You can make a division. In the integral yoga, you say there is no division at all. Spirit and matter are one. There is no division. All division is only apparent. Okay, you can say that. Or you can say, like the Mayavadins and the others, you can say spirit and matter. They are two different things altogether, and they are two planes of consciousness, one below and one above. Or you can say three, or you can say four. Now the four is being described here. Okay, so we'll have a look at that. We'll go sentence by sentence and see. Or you can say, like the classical philosophy says, five planes of consciousness: ether, air, fire, water. Sri Aurobindo follows the Vedic pattern of 7 planes of consciousness. Mother says there can be even more. Okay, she says there can be even 12 because the divisions are not clearly visible. They all lapse one into the other. Each one enters into the other. So it's like a ramp, as I said, and not a staircase. Okay, a staircase is very clear, demarcations are there, but this is more like a ramp. Each one is running into the other. So you can divide where you want. It depends. So, with this background, I'll now start reading each sentence. The importance of samadhi rests upon the truth which modern knowledge is rediscovering. Okay. He is referring to the first modern knowledge, uh, not the Christian world. In the Christian world, they knew very well what is samadhi and trance. They knew very well. But he's talking about the modern knowledge. In fact, scientific world. He's talking about Sigmund Freud. He discovered that there is a huge background which he called the unconscious. The word is a very big misnomer because you are actually more conscious when you go inside and not unconscious. But he uses the word unconscious because he has not had the experience. Okay, so that's what I'm referring to here. Okay. Modern knowledge is rediscovered. In the West, they started knowing that there are planes of consciousness far beyond the physical world. That's what is meaning here. But which has never been lost in Indian psychology. By the way, the word psychology should not be pronounced as psychology or psychology. It should be pronounced as psychology. I know that Indians don't use an accented language, but still it's better to know. Okay? All words which begin with psychology or photography or geography, okay, or geology, all these, the second one is stressed. Okay, so psychology, psychological maybe, but psychology. Indian psychology, that only a small part, whether of world being or our own being, comes into our ken or into our action. So we are only a very small part. That's what we call it the outer nature or the superficial nature, surface being. And what is that? Your body mind life. Your body mind life is a very small part. You are the microcosm. You are actually the whole universe. Whatever is there in the universe is there in you. Okay, we keep repeating this. It's not very obvious to us, but it has to become obvious to us. That's why we keep repeating. Okay? And that vast universe enters into this small being. Okay? Your body is a small part of universal matter, and you are putting into it also every day food, and food is part of the universe, in the matter, it's coming in. And at the same time, the universe of prana is sending all emotions and sensations into your vital and mental, the vast plane of universal thought. I can put it only that mental awareness sends thoughts into your mind. So entering into your ken. Ken is your field. Okay? The word ken means field, the area, region, if you want, or into our action. It can enter. Why is he saying that again? We have to see carefully. Our ken or our action, because when an idea or an emotion comes into us, we need not act. So it's just coming into us. But if it encourages you to action, then he's saying it can also produce an action. That's why our ken or into our action. It can come in silently without having any effect on you. That's a ken. But if it's coming into you and you are urged or impelled to take that thought or that emotion into action, then immediately it becomes action, our action. The rest is hidden behind in subliminal reaches. Subliminal, we have discussed very clearly, is an intraconscious. Okay? Reaches. The word reach is used here in the sense of region, area, okay, province in that sense. So subliminal areas of our being which descend into the profoundest depths of the subconscious and rise to highest peaks of superconscious. So these are the hidden planes of consciousness. We have already discussed the intraconscious is when you go horizontally inside. But if you go a little lower down, it becomes the subconscious. Even more down, inconscious. And if it goes up, okay, like that, that becomes the superconscious. So all this is hidden from us. The rest is hidden behind in subliminal regions of being, which descend into the profoundest depths of the subconscious and rise to highest peaks of superconscious, or which surround the little field of our waking self with a wide circumconscious existence, the aura, okay, around you. That is also part of the hidden. You're not aware of your aura, okay, of our mind and sense, of which our mind and sense catch only a few indications. Sometimes if you're very sensitive, you will be able to sense some things coming into you, and you may not know from where they are coming, but you become aware of some things coming into you from outside. Now, the old Indian psychology expressed this fact by dividing consciousness into three provinces: waking state, dream state, sleep state. And the waking state is the Jagrat. The dream state is the Swapna. And the Sushupti is the sleep state. So, you can also describe these in other words. And what is funny is the gross world is the waking state or Jagrat, gross world. Then the dream state or Swapna is the subtle world. When you are sleeping and dreaming, you are in the subtle world. Then Sushupti. Sushupti is deep sleep. Okay? Sleep state. That's the spiritual planes of consciousness. Okay. And it is supposed in the human being, corresponding to the universal, there is a waking self, a dream self, and a sleep self. With the supreme or absolute self of being, the fourth or Turiya beyond. Of all these, of which all these are derivations for the enjoyment of relative experience in the world. So, when you are in the physical world, the idea is that you can evolve, because only in the last level, the physical world only, you can evolve, because there is movement. In the other planes of consciousness, there is no movement. And if there is no movement, how will you evolve? You can't evolve. They are all stationary. They are not, they are static worlds. They are not evolutionary worlds. So, this is also this. So, let's give other words also to these three states. Waking state is equal to Jagrat, is also equal to the word called Virat. In Sanskrit, you use the word Virat. When you say Virat, you mean the normal physical consciousness. Waking state and Jagrat. Then you come to the dream state, the subtle world. The subtle world is the dream state, the Swapna. And that they call the Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb from which the physical world comes up. Then even higher up, Sushupti, deep sleep. Okay. Now these words are very interesting, because actually when they are saying Jagrat, spiritually you are absolutely ignorant in your sleeping. And Sushupti means deep sleep, but there you are really spiritually awake. Okay. It created a lot of confusion in me when I was young and reading this. I said, why the hell have they used these opposite words? Because you can describe what is happening in the physical world, then it will be opposite. But if you go to the higher level, then the meanings all change altogether. Okay. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. So these are the, so you have Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Prajna. Okay. Prajna is the wisdom plane of consciousness. Then, is there anything beyond them? Yes, there is something which is still not yet been explored. The fourth, which is unexpressed, unmanifested also. There is no manifestation. Okay? Turiya. Turiya means the fourth. Beyond. Nothing, no specification, beyond. Of which all these are derivations for the enjoyment or relative experience in the world. So there are higher worlds, and all these worlds enter into you, and you are here in the lowest for enjoyment and evolution. That's what you can say. Okay. And there is also another word for the third one. They use the word causal world. So, Sthula Jagat, Sukshma Jagat, Karana Jagat. Sthula Jagat, gross world. Sukshma Jagat, subtle world. Karana Jagat, the causal world. So these are the words you can read. They're all the same. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay? So,
Excuse me.
yes,
What did you say the sleep state represents?
the sleep state is, if you are in trance, it can be level 2, the spiritual planes of consciousness. It depends on the individual. It depends on the individual. The sleep state is, these are very flexible terms. Okay, you can be in the spiritual plane of consciousness. You can also be in the third level of the supramental world. Okay, deep sleep. It is an inward-looking condition. In sleep, you are not aware of the physical world. So there is also what is called the transcendent. In English, you use the words transcendent, cosmic, and individual to correspond to these three planes. Okay? Transcendental, beyond the universe, beyond the physical world. So that is Sushupti.
But usually during sleep, we very often enter the subconscious more, no?
Subconscious, if you enter, then your dreams are very, very confused. One can enter into the subconscious also. Then they are very confused dreams. But when you enter into the intraconscious, the dreams are very meaningful, but their meaning is hidden from you. You have to decipher the symbols. Okay, that's it. That she is discussed in the earlier chapter, if you remember. Knowledge by identity and by separation. Okay, so we stop here today.